Luna says, Mehran, do you think being a 35-year-old single independent woman, I'm running out of time to meet the one and settle down? I'm not one to settle for just any Tom, Dick, or Harry, but the older I'm getting, the more conscious I'm becoming of the good old biological clock tick-tocking out of time. It leaves me feeling forlorn and worried more and more. I've noticed your advice and support. Please. Well, what you're feeling is in relation to the conditioning you've received in your consciousness, and that's due to the society and the rituals and traditions and customs that you've been raised in. And it is expected in some traditions or some cultures, wherever it may be, it could be in any country, that you're supposed to have this, have that, or this kind of a model of life. You got to get married, you have to have children, you have this and that, so by a certain age. But the question is why? Why do you have to get married? Why do you have to have children? It's like saying, I have to have a house, but the ground is really not suitable. It's too soft. It's not going to hold the weight of the house. But I got to have a house, so I'm going to build it anyhow. What the heck? Oh, you're going to build it, it's going to crumble on your head. But I've been told I got to have a house by this age. I got to move out of the home and I got to have a house. Yeah. First of all, that was wrong, that you have to have a house. You got to have a safe place to be. That's all. It doesn't have to be a house. And if you can't find the right foundation, right area that is not, that's hard enough to build something on, it's solid, you shouldn't build a house. So the idea that you have to have a house is bullshit to begin with. The idea that I gotta build it no matter what, time is running out, is bullshit also. So we really look at it, we are reacting to the conditionings that we've received by the society. But it doesn't have to be that way. Why do you have to get married? Why do you have to have children? The idea is come to this life and experience life and be happy and find your contentment and happiness. But if you're constantly conditioned and programmed that happiness means you gotta have children, you gotta be married and this and that, so then that's what you pursue. And if that's not happening as it should, based on the qualifications you expect, standards that you expect, then you start wondering, oh, something wrong with me, or something wrong, things are not right, I can't be happy. Because they have put you in that box that this is where happiness is. The condition, you brainwashed you. But that's not where the happiness is everywhere. Happiness is in life. You find a relationship you enjoy, but it doesn't have to turn into marriage, it doesn't have to turn into children. You just have to find it, is it making you happy or not, and what's the duration of it. You want to turn everything into permanent before you can be happy, which is the problem why you can't find happiness. Because unless it's like this and like this and like this, which is all really working behind the scene to turn something into permanent, that's why you want to marry. Date is not enough. Boyfriend, girlfriend is not enough. You got to marry because you got to turn it into permanent, as if it actually does. How many people get divorced after they get married? So really, getting married is not really a sign of permanency. It's just what you're conditioned to think permanency is. So you want to turn that into permanent. Then you want to turn that into more permanent. When I have children, well, yeah, you want children, that's for sure, for themselves. But it also kind of makes it look like, okay, that we got it settled, we got it committed now, because now we have children too. But how many people got divorced when they have children? It's even worse, right? Why? Because the foundation was wrong. And you build this house and put all kinds of ornaments and wonderful things and fixtures and beautiful things in it, but you haven't taken care of the most important one, the foundation. This thing, as much as you spend on it, as much care you show it and design and architecture and all, it's going to crumble. So you want to turn your life into permanent because you've been sold the bill that your life is not permanent on its own, and it has to have a marriage in it to look like it's life. Bullshit. Life is life. You come here to learn things, to experience things. Whatever that experience is, however that experience is, that is what you're here to learn. If it turns into marriage, okay. If it doesn't, okay. But the life is the most important one, not what goes in it. The life, the whole concept of life is what you're here to experience. But the thing is, you've forgotten that you're here to experience, not to here to expect everything to be permanent. But in that context, you'll never be happy because nothing is permanent, and you've forgotten about that. The fact that the whole life itself is temporary, you've forgotten about that. In the whole temporary setting of life, you're struggling and running around to bring about a permanent situation. The whole concept is temporary, but you're trying to make a permanent thing in it. That's why you're constantly waiting, because I want to make sure this one is going to be permanent. Nothing is going to be permanent. So if you think, the guy is okay, if that's what you really want, you're like, everything I said doesn't doesn't mean shit to you and that you have to get married and all that, then don't get married based on the fact that you want to find someone that's going to be permanent. None of them is going to be permanent. Based on what seems to be reasonable and fulfills your experience, okay, then you can make a decision. Otherwise, you're waiting for that perfect thing that doesn't exist, because you're actually deep in your mind, you're thinking about, I want to choose something that is going to be permanent. And because that doesn't exist, you can never find it, you will never get married, because you're constantly thinking about permanency of it rather than the concept of it. If you relax a little bit and say, okay, if I really want to get married, be part of the crowd, then I got to focus on the qualifications and what it looks and how sound it seems, and okay, then reasonably is okay. But if I want to look for an absolute condition that it will be permanency, it will result in a permanent relationship, you'll never make that decision, because there's no such thing, and you're not a dummy. I can get that you're a pretty smart girl, so therefore you'll be constantly looking for this and that, and to make sure that this screw is tight and that bolt is fastened and this thing is gonna hold, and it'll never be such thing, and you'll be spending your time searching and searching and searching and searching, because there's never end to search. There's always maybe something more solid out there, but while the time that you spend to find it, the time, as you said, is passing, and you will lose that whole possibility of experience that you're looking for. But look at it as an experience, experiment, not that as what is going to complete your life or is going to give it permanency. Those thinking will stop you from actually activating that part of your life, and you will never select anything, because none of them will be meeting that ultimate standards that you're looking for, right? So be a little bit realistic. Look for good quality but not permanency, because that will stop you. So separate the two and judge it for what it could be, what's available, the best thing possible, Otherwise, you'll keep going to different stores, and there's always going to be something more perfect than what's available in that store, whatever it is that you want to shop. So you'll always come out without buying anything, because nothing satisfies you, because there's always something maybe better and more advanced out there. But you got to select from what's available there, because that's the time span. That's in your city. Unless you want to go to another city, and there's so many cities and countries constantly looking for something for that, and you'll never choose one. I'm not saying settle for shit. I'm saying reasonable. Just if you think it's good enough, it's good enough. But if you don't find even good enough, don't commit to it then. Then understand that life is full by, living the life according to what it is that makes it full for you. And it doesn't have to be necessarily the stuff that you've been conditioned to think that that's the only way to have a full life. I hope you get the gist of it.